Let me tell you why they're not behind Bishop Whitehead. You want to know why? Because I know how they move and I know what they did last summer, right? A lot of them are all sleeping with each other. Number one, men with men, women with women, men with other people's wives, other people's wives with other men. It's a whole freaking freak show.
Lordy have mercy, y'all. This boy is something else. And he ain't lying, because I talk all about the freak show in my series entitled Pulpit Pedophiles. So make sure you check it out, but after this video. And I know everybody wants to love to hate Bishop Whitehead, and many of you are not wishing him the best in his current federal criminal court case ordeal. But does the case have any merit, and or is it a strong case? Well, that's the question that I'm going to answer today. Hi there, I'm Professor Blackmore, and welcome back to my channel. And if you want to get caught up on the first chapter of this bedtime story, in which I reviewed the bankruptcy court case involving the tussle over the church building where Bishop Whitehead is currently conducting his church services, you know, when the landlord of the prior location where the live streaming robbery took place, when that landlord of that church building declined to renew his lease, please watch my prior chapter 1 video in this series. Now, as you know, the robbery occurred in July of 2022 as Bishop Whitehead was delivering a morning sermon at the Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministries Church in the Carnegie area of Brooklyn, New York, while the church service was live streaming, and the perpetrators of that crime have since been apprehended. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that on November the 7th, 2022, Bishop Whitehead sued radio personality Miss Jones of New York City's hip-hop radio station 94.7 for making false accusations about him. More specifically, the lawsuit filing states that Miss Jones, whose full name is Tarsha Nicole Jones, said that during a September the 13th radio broadcast that Bishop Whitehead is, quote, a drug dealer and was, quote, using the church to hide that old drug money, end quote. Now, Miss Jones went on to say that Whitehead's church, quote, is where he's probably still doing his dirty work, end quote. And so, I might cover this case in another chapter in these testamentary selections, but I need to stay focused, y'all, because after Bishop Whitehead's November lawsuit filing against the radio station entities, on December the 15th, 2022, the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York filed a sealed indictment that was unsealed on Monday, December the 19th, 2022, when Bishop Whitehead was arrested and taken into custody by federal law enforcement officials. And so, I'm going directly from this court docket sheet, and I'm reviewing information taken directly from court records obtained from this court docket. And so the only opinions that I'm going to make here are legal opinions based on the court record. These are not opinions about any person or any personality. So let's say that right from the start. Now, the indictment alleges that sometime in April of 2020, quote, that Lamar Whitehead elicited approximately $90,000 from victim number 1 through a series of cell phone and internet communications with her and her son. Now, under the terms of their agreement, Whitehead would use the money to assist victim number 1 in obtaining a home, and after doing so, Whitehead would otherwise be able to use the money as an investment in his real estate businesses, end quote. It is further alleged that, quote, Whitehead never helped victim number 1 obtain a home and has not returned victim number 1's money despite her request that he do so, End quote. Now, the indictment further alleges that, quote, in or about April and May of 2022, Lamar Whitehead attempted to convince, let me say that again, he attempted to convince a businessman, victim number 2, to lend him, Whitehead, approximately $500,000 and give him a stake in certain real estate transactions. End quote. It is further alleged in the indictment that, quote, Whitehead told victim number 2 that in exchange for this $500,000 and the interest in the real estate transactions, Whitehead would obtain favorable actions by the New York City government for the benefit of victim number 2 that would enrich both Whitehead and victim number 2 when Whitehead knew that he had no ability to obtain such actions. End quote. And so, the collective counts include charges for count number 1, wire fraud, count number 2, attempted wire fraud, count 3, attempted extortion, and count 4, false statements. But the actual money that is alleged to have actually changed hands so far is only $90,000. And so now I'm going to switch back to reporting about the robbery that took place back in July of 2022. And then I'm going to come back and deal with this small bit of information that we have so far from these allegations from victim number 1 and victim number 2. And so let's check it out.
All right.
A Sunday sermon goes sideways.
All right.
This live stream shows Bishop Lamar Whitehead ducking as a masked man appears.
It was definitely a heinous act. It was in violation of every code.
Police say the robbers came in here, where Whitehead is using space for his work with leaders of the Tomorrow Church, stealing more than $1 million worth of jewelry from him and his wife.
Ooh, that's it's hard to process that he would have that amount in the community, a small community like that. That's like pretty amazing. And wow.
Whitehead took to Facebook to say he's been flooded with support, but Whitehead, who's been known for his expensive taste, says people have been wondering why he and his wife had 7 figures worth of jewelry while delivering a Sunday sermon.
I help so many men and women out here in these streets. So why can't I buy what I want to buy? Why can't I wear what I want to wear?
But in the video, he says he doesn't care about material things, just that he's alive.
Okay, again, I don't have any opinions about people or any personalities of any people or persons. And I've spent my over 20 years of legal work as a defense attorney in civil and criminal, state, and federal courts. And it requires that you stay focused on the elements of the crime and the relevant facts. Not just any old facts. That's what I tell my students. Now, just don't come up in here with just any old thing. It has to be relevant facts. And when I say relevant facts, these are facts that will be required to prove the particular alleged offender committed the crime beyond a reasonable doubt. Not that the person may have committed the crime. You need actual, beyond a reasonable doubt proof and facts, relevant facts, to prove each and every element of the crime beyond a reasonable doubt. And although you don't have to prove motive, if you have $1 million worth of jewelry that you and your wife just wore to church during one Sunday church service, why would you need to plot on the phone to take $90,000 from one woman? That's what a jury is going to be thinking. Now, the basis of these allegations in this indictment at this present moment in time, because I reviewed the court docket today, but the present indictment only covers these 2 victims. Now, I will say that the docket does reflect these 3 pending counts, but in my opinion, if you have this big case, then you need to bring it, prosecutor. And right now, in my opinion, they must be hiding something bigger, because this is a little Minnie Mouse piece of cheese right here. And in my opinion, this case regarding victim number 1 really belongs in a civil court. So maybe they have something bigger, but I'm not seeing it on the face of this particular allegation. Now, I'm going to review some more of these court records and come back to the allegations regarding victim number 2 a little bit later. And so, as you can see here, the court held an initial appearance hearing at 4:25 p.m. on December the 19th, 2022, and set bail in the amount of $500,000. But this is something that people don't understand, and that is that in the federal court system, there is technically no cash bail system. In other words, you don't go down to the bail bondsman and purchase a surety bond so you can be bonded out of jail in the federal court system. In the federal court system, either you're a threat to public safety or an extreme flight risk or not. And if you're not, you'll be able to technically sign yourself out on what we call a PC or personal recognizance type bond. And that is technically what happened here. So when you read this bail disposition order, you can see that all Bishop Whitehead needed to do was to have 2 financially responsible persons to co-sign. And now when I say financially responsible, that does not even mean that the person has to actually put up property valued in the amount of $500,000. So I just want to dispel all of these misunderstandings. And so as you can see here, quote, defendant to be released on own signature with remaining conditions to be met by December the 27th, end quote. Now, this is written by the judge. Okay, and so as you can see in this appearance bond, it is co-signed by an individual by the name of Derek Whitehead and another individual by the name of Robert Whitehead. In addition, the judge ordered in his terms of his release that Bishop Whitehead's travel was restricted to the southern and eastern districts of New York, as well as, it seems, the District of New Jersey and the District of Connecticut. Now, as you can see, although Bishop Whitehead has his attorney, Brian Lamar Ponder, that handles all of his other legal work, also representing him in this case, we also see this attorney, Don Florio, handling the bail hearing. So, let's take a look at what she had to say.
Hey guys, can you all get over here? The lamp folks, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So Bishop Lamor Whitehead is not guilty of these charges. We are vigorously going to defend these accusations. We feel that he is being targeted and he is being turned from a victim into a villain. Now, everyone was wrong about Bishop Lamor Whitehead setting up the robbery at the church. People were arrested. He had nothing to do with that. This all stems out of a civil lawsuit that is being handled in civil court, and he will be vindicated.
Now, I just love to see the sisters holding it down at the courthouse. And you hear her talking about the civil court case. Now, anybody, even before I heard her say that, anybody looking at this can tell that this $90,000 little whatever this is, it needs to be handled in civil court. I don't know why, the criminal people are out to get this guy, but let me stay focused. Now, as you can see here at document number 17 on the docket on December the 23rd, 2022, Bishop Whitehead's regular attorney, Mr. Ponder, filed a motion with the court requesting that the terms of his bail be modified, permitting Bishop Whitehead to travel throughout the entire United States of America and its territories that do not require a passport. And while the judge's order of December the 27th, 2022 indicates that she would take this matter up at the status conference that was set to take place on January the 10th, 2023, I do not see that the court has entered a ruling on this motion at this moment in time. Now, I'm going to go back to the allegations regarding victim number 2, in which you will remember the indictment alleges once again that, quote, Lamar Whitehead attempted to convince a businessman, victim number 2, to lend him approximately $500,000 and give him, Lamar Whitehead, a stake in certain real estate transactions, and in exchange for this $500,000 and the interest in the real estate transactions, Whitehead would obtain favorable actions by the New York City government for the benefit of victim number 2 that would enrich both Whitehead and victim number 2, when Whitehead knew that he had no such ability to obtain such actions, end quote. And so it appears that no money actually changed hands in this particular allegation. And if you're going to prove this beyond a reasonable doubt, you're going to need actual recordings or writings from Bishop Whitehead wherein he actually makes these offers. Now, the Daily News recently reported that Bishop Whitehead is allegedly refusing to let feds access 13 devices seized from him. And if any of these devices are iPhones and information has been locked, y'all know Apple ain't gonna help them get into that phone whatsoever. And so if it's true, my question would be, if you have recordings of conversations between victim number 2 and Bishop Whitehead, and or writings from Bishop Whitehead wherein he states that he has influence with the city of New York and he's making these offers, then why do you need to access this information on these 13 devices? Now, that's just my question. And while I understand that these counts are based on the crime of attempt, i.e. attempted wire fraud, I do want to note that the indictment specifically indicates that Whitehead knew he had no such influence with the city of New York. And that would have to be true, and the government would have to know that that is in fact true to prove all of the required elements of fraud, in this case, attempted fraud. Now, notwithstanding the so-called noted pending counts, at this point in time, I feel what the prosecution is given so far is a weak Minnie Mouse piece of cheese with no milk, honey child. But that's just my opinion, y'all. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't also note this little drop of tea that's percolating out here in these streets, but y'all didn't hear from me. And so let's check it out.
And his wife just moved out of the house this week. He stopped her from moving out of the house on Sunday because Jersey has a law that you cannot move. You can't actually move. It's some old, antiquated law that they need to, get out of here. But he called the police on his wife, Asia, because she was moving out of the house on Sunday. That's why if you listen to his church service on Sunday, he actually was throwing daggers at his wife. His wife just this past Sunday, Asia, moved out of the house. Well, he wouldn't allow her to move out the house because you can't move. Like I said earlier, you can't physically move your things with the moving company on Sundays in Jersey. Some weird rule. But she got the hell out of there anyway. I'm guessing she just took her and her baby and whatever she can get out of there, because the word on the street is that her dad told her, okay, enough is enough. Leave him alone. Get out.
I just thought I'd just drop a little hot tea up in here so y'all can have something to chew on. Now, while this might be some interesting tea, it has no relevance to proving any of the elements of the crimes currently on file. And again, I feel what the prosecutor is given so far is weak. Because again, in my opinion, it would be hard to get a jury to wrap its mind around a man sitting around in just one Sunday church service wearing at least $1 million worth of jewelry, needing to concoct a fraud scheme just to get a mere $90,000 out of somebody. And regarding the allegations are pertinent to victim number 2, if the prosecutor does not have anything other than the word of somebody saying what Bishop Whitehead told them without an actually proved up recording or other evidence establishing that Bishop Whitehead made the alleged statements, I don't see how this ends up in a conviction on those counts. Now, the court ordered that all motions and responses be filed by March 29, 2023, and a status conference is set to take place on April 11, 2023, when I believe the judge will rule on any outstanding motions. But the court has not yet set a trial date. Now, I'll come back later and tell you what I think about the count regarding making false statements and look at some of the other documents on file regarding the evidence and the corresponding witnesses the prosecutor intends to call at the time of trial to substantiate that particular count. But in the meantime, as you know on here, I just ask and report and I let you decide. So, what do you think about the counts in the indictment are pertinent to victim number 1 and victim number 2? Do you think this is as big as you may have previously thought it was? And do you think these counts will result in convictions against Bishop Whitehead? Please let me know by leaving your comments in the comment section below. And I hope you'll also give me a big thumbs up. And I hope you'll also consider donating to this video and my entire channel ministry by clicking the super thanks heart button below. And while you're there, I want to also ask that you please subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell, honey child, so you won't miss out whenever I come back with more hot tea on this case. And please also follow me on TikTok and Instagram.